Another day and another of Scotland's hidden gems. Welcome to the Reekie Linn Falls in Angus in Scotland. And I'm going to take you on a little virtual tour of this magical place. So welcome to the Reekie Linn Waterfall near Alyth in Angus in the centre of Scotland. Now this has got to be one of the most spectacular waterfalls in Scotland. And the great thing about it is not a lot of people know about it, and it's also incredibly accessible. Now you can actually see the falls from the bridge here. If I zoom in, you will see the mist in the distance. Now that's what gives the Reekie Linn its name. It's the mist or the spume that comes up from the waterfall. So the name Reekie Linn literally translates as the smoking pool. And this is the source of the falls. This is the River Alyth. And the River Alyth is a tributary of the River Tay, which is the longest river in Scotland. It's about 120 miles in length. So this bridge that I'm crossing over, this is the bridge of Craigayla. It's a single arch bridge. It dates to about 1780. And you can see there's a tiny little car park here. My vehicle's the white van, and when I arrived, I was the only person here. But 2 other cars have since turned up. Probably because they want to get some footage, because the river is in flood because of all the rain that we've just had. So the car park is very small, but it is free of charge. The secret is probably avoid it on the weekends and try and get here early in the morning or later on in the afternoon. The little information board tells you a little bit more about the falls and the geology, the nature, and also the history of this beautiful little area. So the car park's a reasonable size, but as I say, on a Saturday lunchtime, especially on a beautiful day, it can be a little bit busy. There are picnic benches, so you can have a little picnic, even a little barbecue. So we're going to have a wee closer look at the river. And the first thing you'll notice is it's a little bit brown. And that's because the river's been in flood. At the moment there's about 100,000 litres of water coming down this river every second. And you can see, as I said earlier, the old Craigayla Bridge, which dates to the 1780s. The big metal plates on it are because the bridge was reinforced in the 19th century to make sure it could withstand Mother Nature. And as I said before, this river, the River Alyth, takes its source from the mountains in the Highlands. Now you do get brown trout, which is our native trout in the river. In this section of the river though, you don't get salmon, no Atlantic salmon. And the reason for that is the waterfall that we're about to see in a few minutes is massive. And it acts as a boundary or a block for the salmon. They simply can't get over it. This whole place was created thanks to the geology. And the River Alyth, it takes its source from the mountains in the Cairngorms. It flows south from the Cairngorms. And the Cairngorms is our second national park. Our first national park was Loch Lomond to the north of Glasgow. We didn't actually create our first national park until 2002, which seems quite incredible, especially to Americans. The Cairngorms we created in 2003, and the Cairngorms is massive. It's more than double the size of the Loch Lomond National Park. And the Cairngorms covers an area of just under 2,000 square miles. A lot of people in the US will know the name John Muir, who created a lot of your national parks, and he is often described as the father of the US national parks. He was actually Scottish, born in Scotland in the 1830s and emigrated to the US, where he created a lot of your national parks, including the Yellowstone, Yosemite, Sequoia, the Grand Canyon and so on. And look at the beauty and the colours of the leaves as they start to change. Now, as that sign states, the most important thing here is safety. You are going to find when you come here that there are no handrails at all, and there are 150 feet drops, sheer drops, which are about 50 metres, as well as the falls themselves. So more importantly, keep your dogs on a lead and keep your children on a lead as well, because the drops are severe, is an understatement. Now, as you walk along, you can see the remnants of old dams, old weirs jutting out into the river. These are the remnants of old hydro schemes, some of them for hydroelectricity, some of them also for powering mills and water wheels to create a head to power machinery back in the 18th and 19th and early 20th century. This is a really beautiful time to visit the Reekie Linn, although there's not really a bad time. But when the river's in flood, you'll see the sheer power. But the autumn, it's October, and the colours in October of the trees are quite spectacular. Now, at times I am going to possibly struggle with the audio because the power of the water and the noise of the water, especially as I get closer to the falls, is going to be pretty ear-blowing. So hopefully this microphone will do its job. So the falls are just a couple of 100 yards up ahead, and the reason the waterfalls are here is because of geology. This area beneath our feet is volcanic bedrock. It was laid down about 400 million years ago with huge volcanic lava flows, but it's laid on top of sandstone, and when the glaciers melted, the glaciers eroded the softer sandstone, creating the waterfalls that we've got today. Now, the waterfall is actually two waterfalls. The first waterfall is about 6 metres in height, which is about 20 feet. And the second one is about 18 metres, which is about 60 feet. And combined, because today I think they will look like one massive fall, because when in full flood, the two waterfalls become one. And when they combine, they are about 24 metres or about 80 feet in height. And they're going to look pretty dramatic today because, as I say, there's 100 tonnes of water per second flowing over them. So you'll see the mist, the spume coming up on the left hand side, and also a first glimpse of the falls. Now, when I actually go out onto the rocks to stand over the falls, which is down there, I'm probably not even going to be able to speak because you're not going to be able to hear a word that I say. But you can already see just how spectacular this place is. And today, even though there's two other cars here, so far I've got it all to myself. Now, I wouldn't recommend this to everybody. I've done it before. That's not to say that I want you all to do it. But I'm going to go out onto the rocks. The closer I get, the louder it's going to get, and the less likelihood is that you'll be able to hear me speak. But if you listen closely, you'll probably hear my knees knocking together. Heights are not a speciality of mine. But we'll go and take a closer look. Now, as I say, I'll do my best to talk, but I think, to be honest, it's better if you just listen and listen to the sound of the water. You might just be able to see the bridge in the distance where we started, and I'm going to walk out further. Unbelievable. Well, I survived. I can tell you my knees were knocking together a little bit there when I was out. As I say, health and safety is the key. So please, if you do come here, don't take any risks, don't take any chances. You can admire the falls from a distance if you wish. And as you can see, there's no fences, there's no handrails. And quite a number of fallen trees. We had quite a number of storms back in January, February of last year, and Perthshire, Angus and Aberdeenshire, we lost hundreds of thousands of trees. We had some winds almost up to 100 miles an hour. We lost hundreds of thousands of trees, and this unfortunate beech tree is a remnant of one of those storm damaged trees. Now, as we head along this path, you can walk along for a few more minutes. There's another few viewpoints where you can take in the falls. And some of you might have spotted a little cave down below the waterfall, which is called the Black Dub. You'll get a better look at it in a moment from down here. But there's a story associated with it, with a giant black dog. Often people say it's a black wolf. But from here you also get an incredible view down into the cliffs. And this is where it becomes incredibly dangerous, because this is 150 feet, 45-metre drop straight down. But it does look like something from, King Kong or from Jurassic Park. It's quite spectacular. So you can see those bedrock cliffs, which are made of lava flows from 400 million years ago, and the glacier, as it melted, just found its way through the softer rock, and over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years the softer rock is undermined, creating this gorge and the waterfall, which you're starting to get a better look at. So that's the first fall and then the second fall. So it does look almost like one fall. And that's the cave in below called the Black Dub. And the story goes that an outlaw, a laird who had murdered someone, he hid out there. However, during the night, the giant black wolf, or the giant black dog, turned up at the entrance in the cave. And the man was so terrified and so hysterical that the next day he turned himself in. But look at the colours. This is going to become more and more spectacular over October and then into early November as all these trees change colour. There's a mixture of all sorts here. There's beech, there's pine trees, there's oaks, there's sycamores. So you get all the different colours of the trees. And look at that view. Absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to make our way up to another viewpoint. You might have also noticed the little building at the bottom of the falls, or built into the cliffs. There's actually two little huts there, little stone built buildings. And they're the remnants of old hydroelectricity schemes from the late 19th and early 20th century. Now, as I mentioned, over hundreds of thousands of years, these falls have been created through erosion, with the water finding its way through the softer rock, eventually undermining the bedrock, which then resulted in a collapse. And those collapses over hundreds of thousands of years have created not only the waterfall but also the gorge. And the waterfall is always moving upstream. Waterfalls never stand still. They're always undermining the rock and falling and moving upstream all the time. And at some point, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 1,000 years' time, they reckon that this whole area is going to collapse again. So hopefully not today, but when it does collapse, it might be pretty catastrophic. Could result in thousands of tons of rock and stone collapsing down into the valley below. It is actually possible to get over to the other side of the river by following a path on the opposite side of the bridge, which takes you through woodland. But this is another viewpoint where you can get a real scale of the falls and the power of them as well. The roar coming off of the water is something else. But as I say, 150 feet sheer drop. Now, I am hoping that with a bit of luck, there's a little sunshine coming through from time to time, and when you come around about 10 o'clock, 11 in the morning, on a sunny day, you'll often get a rainbow coming through the spume, the mist from the falls. So this tree immediately on the left is actually charred and burned, and that's because it was struck by lightning a few years ago and caught fire. But this is probably the most spectacular viewpoint. This is where you can really appreciate the falls. As I say, they've got to be amongst the most spectacular in Scotland. And the best thing is that even though there's 2 other cars here, so far I haven't met anyone else. So I've virtually got it to myself. Stunning. Just as I was about to leave, I was rewarded with the rainbow that I mentioned. So there you go, the sun just glimpsed through for a second, and look at that. Welcome to the Reekie Linn Falls. Scotland at its very best. Absolutely gorgeous and well worth a visit. Well, hopefully you enjoyed my virtual tour of the Reekie Linn Falls in Angus. If you're not already subscribed, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that button, and hopefully I'll see you all on my next virtual tour. Take care, and thanks for watching.